Hey out there, this is Friday, September 28th, 2018. And it's just about 9:45 in the morning here in Northern California. And today, as usual, I'll get into a lot of different stuff. As far as the theme goes, I think, first of all, facing the reality that we live in an entirely corrupt, manufactured establishment reality. And that is the first step to extracting ourselves from this wretched, fallen system. They say that perception is reality, and that makes a lot of sense when you think about it. As a man thinketh, your belief systems, the credos you hold to, the philosophies you believe, whether you believe in God or whether you're an agnostic or an atheist, all these things are relevant in the way we see things and our reality. And the first thing that you need to do to get it together is, of course, face the fact that this is a wholly fallen world and we're going into obvious, self evident kind of stuff going on in the world and ancient knowledge of the state of affairs of mankind. In other words, this fallen state from the original sin, this organic suffering that we brought upon ourselves, or our ancestors, which is, for all intents and purposes, we're extensions of our ancestors. It's been passed on genetically, this sinful fallen state we all find ourselves in, where we all have periods of weakness and we fail. We fail to meet our own hopes and dreams and desires so often, and we forget so often that we're mortal. And people, when they're young, they have that mentality, that perception that, hey, forever young, I'm just enjoying being young, and it's just great, smiling ear to ear and doing this and that, and just reveling in their lives while putting out of their minds that they are mortal, that there will come a day, and they never know when that is, because as we all know, a lot of younger people die quite suddenly in life, and even diseases sometimes take people at a very young age. We know children die of cancer, for example. So there's no security in this realm, this physical realm that we know on planet Earth. So it's a tough pill to swallow from day one. It's a tough row to hoe as humans. We have a lot of organic, natural, built-in difficulties that there's not a lot that we can do except talk them over with God and say, I really don't like these natural disasters. What's going on? I thought you were loving and all powerful, and whatever your beef is, it's okay to talk these things over. But you've got to understand, first and foremost, that there was a time in history when God was sorry that he even created us. The way in the Bible it says that he repented from having created us. So, our relationship with God has been sorely disturbed by this choice that our ancestors made, and subsequently we all have to experience by extension. It's in it like our DNA sort of thing. So we can't get away from it. We ourselves are corrupted just inherently. It's just the way the ball bounces. And, we can be very thankful, though, that God didn't give up on us. Very grateful. And still, it never fails to amaze me that God's love extends as much as it does, because often I feel unlovable. And that's a time when I have to pray, when I feel I need to be comforted, I need to be encouraged, I need to be strengthened, I need coping skills, I need to contend, and I need to confront the evil in this world. That's fighting the good fight. Do something. Do whatever you can, whatever the spirit of truth, whatever God puts on your heart to do that you really believe is important. And that's why I do these videos, this series of videos I've done for so long, which, I could end it any day. I have no desire to make profit from them. There's no profit motive, thank God. I wouldn't be interested if there was. But the thing is that we all have an obligation to our own conscience, to live free in our own heart and mind. If we can't live free in this world, which we can't, and that is my complaint, is that this establishment, the status quo, potatoes, right? But it is run by criminal actors, and I've talked about this critical mass before, and what it takes to have a critical mass. Remember, forget your notions of democracy and republics and all this rubbish. I mean, yeah, that's really that's on your wish list, but there's no such thing. Okay, and even if there was such a thing, it would have huge drawbacks. Okay, there'd be huge fat flies in the ointment of a democracy, because conceivably 51% of the people could choose to enslave the other 49%, right? So just so there was a critical mass, in that case it would take a critical mass, and that critical mass would be a majority, right, in a democracy. 51% could choose to run the lives miserably of the other 49%. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibilities, your ability to comprehend these things I'm saying. So you see the problem with a democracy. Even the best of democracies would have that problem. Okay, because the heart of man, you see, we just love the power and the control and the money. We love the money. We love the God of this world. Okay, we have a big problem. We have a deep, profound problem that has affected us for eons, generations, ages, thousands of years, millennia. Okay, it goes way back. We've had this Achilles heel that Satan's got us all by the you-know-whats. Okay, and it's a bad scene, man, and we need God's help to not only to ever hope to extricate ourselves from these monsters and this critical mass. Okay, with these monsters, all it needs to be, okay, when you control the money supply, okay, whether it's through political means, by validating, legitimizing the whims, sycophantically so, these politicos, okay, approve, validate, authorize, legitimize the theft of the wealth of our nation by a small gaggle of ruthless, merciless, lying, cheating, thieving, murderous thugs that control the money supply. And that is your critical mass. So in terms of what it takes to be a critical mass, to really be in the positions of power, it takes a tiny, itty-bitty, minuscule fraction of a percentage point to be a critical mass. That's the amount needed to get the job done. Okay, that's all you need to get the job done. And the job being to keep the entire planet enslaved, these human beings, keep them believing that they need, that all these humans on Earth need what they have, right? That they have a copyright in perpetuity, not like any other patent you could have out there. Okay, 7 years from the time you issue it. So the Federal Reserve on money, they should have only had 7 years. From 1913, it would have ended in 1920. Okay, but they are the most powerful institution in the world. People talk about the World Bank and all that. Come on, we know there's grand puppeteers, and those grand puppeteers are in America, and they're running the money printing presses here, the issuance of currency, the printing of currency. And we know the sycophantic politicos that go into office acting like they've got these noble, altruistic, benevolent aims to help the citizens of their state. All right? Right? Am I right? And they go in there, and what they do is they become suck-ups. They become fabulously wealthy. We all know about all these groups, these special interest groups, okay, lobbying groups that go in there and they, hey, you know what, I'm a nice guy, and the next time this vote comes up, and you know what I mean, and we all know that there's money being transferred. Okay, these are white collar crimes that are very difficult unless somebody's under surveillance, unless you give them PC, probable cause, okay, to investigate these people. And there's so much corruption within the regulatory bodies. We all know that. I mean, there's just too much money. People can't resist it. You understand? The temptation is too great. Okay, you understand? It makes these people shake and quiver. It gets them exhilarated. Okay, it alters their ego, and it's like a demon possession kind of thing. They love money that much. Just like you might feel about having relations with your sweetheart, your wife. It makes you shake and quiver when she gets near you. And, she's in the mood, and it's like, wow, I'm down. You know what I mean? And that's how these people are, because it's just too irresistible for them. You understand? And this is it, the love of money. I mean, this is biblical. It all ties into the Bible. So there is a huge spiritual component to economics that we've got to understand. This is what I mean about deeper wisdom. You can go to college and you can get, all the degrees and have, all several masters and this and that and all the acronyms behind your name. But that is superficial, topical, temporal wisdom. It's just, temporary. That will benefit you in this life, right? It's usually about money. It's about getting a good career and making a lot of money. So people aren't necessarily doing what they want with their lives unless, ultimately it's just about making a lot of money and doing the job that's least objectionable. The job. I mean, job, if you look up that term job I've got the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, where you can look up any words for Bible reference. And the only reference to job in the Bible, because it's probably a biblical reference, is Job, okay, who had all this hardship. So this idea that, we need a job. Remember that South Park episode where they were poking fun at the aliens coming from space, taking their jabs, Hey, they took our jabs, right? It's like, who gives good? Let them take our jabs. Nobody gives a crap who has you want my jab. So, you see, we shouldn't have to worry about that. That's stupid. That's like, oh, I need burden. I mean, flagellate me, whip me, beat me, put me to work. Could you imagine several thousand years ago and the slaves being beaten to do their work? And we said, let's go back to that time. I need to be beaten, whipped. I need big brother. I need authority. I need a totalitarian, authoritarian state. I need fascism. I need somebody to run my life. I mean, it's so stupid that people are hung up about their stupid jobs. None of us should have to be insecure. Do you understand? It isn't God's fault. This is not an extension of the organic suffering I was alluding to earlier. This is what my beef is, okay? My complaint, my supplication, my plea, my implorement to humanity is that we all understand what's bugging us, okay? Because what's bugging me is the invented suffering, okay? And it has everything to do with the money printing class and their sycophantic politicos that validate their whims. Do you understand? We're the level of tyranny we're going to live under, remember, is what we accept, what we tolerate. And we're going to tolerate a lot. It's the nature of the beast. We're all corruptible. That's why I say, every one of us is guilty to some degree. Okay, this is horrendous. This is horrible that we're just tolerating the perpetual debasement of our currency and saying, well, that's the only answer there is. Of course, taxes have to go up. I have to listen to Alex Jones stupidly saying that property is supposed to only appreciate in value. And it's like, what in the hell is he talking about? That it only, he made the flat statement that it only appreciates. It's like every single one of his listeners thinks, my God, this guy is a genius, way smarter than me. And yet he just made the stupidest comment. He's dumber than a box of rocks. Because, just take Detroit. It's probably the exemplification of property depreciation. Okay, there's a lot of factors that can cause depreciation. Okay, a lot of them, a lot. I'm not going to start going into it, but just use your imagination. Do you think the villages surrounding Chernobyl, for example, you think those property values went up?